Welcome to a demo of our CIS and RCT app from Pryme. In this demo, we will cover the functionality of setting up a vendor for retention, posting an invoice where deductions will be made, and making a payment for that invoice, and finally, a monthly return. I've created a vendor already, a subcontractor, and I've enabled it to use deduction using the use retention tax setting. I already filled in the NINU number and the unique tax reference that I got from the subcontractor. The next step would to be verifying it with the HMRC. I can do that either manually or I can use the online process where we connect to the HMRC and get the verification back. That is done using the action in the CIS menu, Verify Subcontractor. I need to confirm that I actually will be doing business with a subcontractor, and then I send off the request. When the verification has been processed, the data will be automatically put into the vendor card. I now see that I have a verification date, a tax treatment status, and a verification reference number. I also see that the business posting group is filled in with the appropriate tax treatment status related posting group. In this case, a standard rate. The next step is creating a purchase invoice for this vendor. I'll create a new purchase invoice, put in the invoice number, and create my lines. I can create lines of multiple types. For my items, I've set them up to be defaulted to being marked as materials, meaning I only have to select what item it is, what the quantity and price is, and I automatically get the posting group for materials. This means that the amount included will not be liable for deduction, but it will be included in the monthly return to the HMRC as part of the amount to be paid. If I create lines of type general ledger, then on each account I will set up what type of treatment is needed. In this case, for cost of materials, I have selected that this would be treated as materials. I could also create something for an account for labor. And in that case, I've set it up to be of type labor in the posting group. This means that it will be liable for the deduction as set up for that combination of subcontracting and the standard tax treatment of that vendor. Before I post this invoice, let's quickly review the posting setup behind this. The retention tax posting setup defines the different combination of the business posting group and the product posting group. For each of them, there will be a tax percentage applied. As an example, for the higher rate and labor, that percentage is 30%. But for hire and materials, no deduction is made, it is 0%. We also define the accounts used when we post later on. Going back to the invoice, we will now post it. Note that when we post the invoice, we will not make an actual deduction. The deduction will first be made at the time of payment. We can review the entries created by the posting. In this case, we have retention tax entries created, and there will be two entries. One for the labor part, which is the first line, with a percentage of 20% on a base of 1,000, meaning an actual deduction of 200. This is currently an expected amount as we have not paid the invoice yet. We also have a line for the materials part. Here there's no deduction expected or actual, as there will be no deduction. But we still need to keep track of that amount as we need to report back the full amount to the HMRC. With the invoice posted, we can now make a payment of that invoice. I will open up the vendor card again, and I will make a payment for that invoice using the Pay Vendors functionality. Here I see my invoice, and I will create a payment. In the payment journal, I will post. And because I'm posting in full, the full deduction will be made for the amount expected. Assuming that we are now at the end of the period, we can make a monthly return to the HMRC. We'll do that in the retention tax periods page, where we can see that for the current period, our amount to deduct was 200. and our base amount in this case was slightly over 3,500. We can also see a breakdown of the entries that make up this amount. I will close the period, and this means no further postings can be made. I'll add a posting description and a date and a document number. With a closed period, I can now make a submission to the HMRC. I need to accept that I will be making a submission and that I'm following the rules required, confirming that it is a correct statement that I'm submitting. After the submission has been done and successfully processed by the HMRC, I'll now see that I have a receipt from the HMRC confirming that the submission has been made. This is my proof later on that a successful submission was made to the HMRC and they received it. I can open up my statement to see the details per vendor, and from here I can also print a subcontractor statement to send to the subcontractors for their reference.